Hi everyone, my name is Anal and I'm developer advocate here at Waves, and I have Sasha Ivanov here, CEO and founder of Waves platform. Let me start with thanking you all for a lot of questions. We got more than 100 questions in Slido and Twitter, and also thank you for your support. We got a lot of support every day. Thank you again. If you want to ask question, first of all, I'd like to say that you can do it with Slido. You can find link in our Telegram channel or in Twitter. Also, you can ask us via Twitter. Just use hashtag AskWaves. Before we start, I'd like to announce one small contest. In the end of this video, I will ask one question. You, our dear viewers, you can answer that question and get a t-shirt like on me. Here it is. You can get it for free. You just have to answer one question, but it's in the end of the video. Now, let's jump in and let's answer all questions. We got a lot of questions, and as I already said, major part of that questions is about smart contracts. And last week maybe, or even today, it just had been released on our testnet. So Sasha, please tell us something about smart contracts. Tell us your feelings and your thoughts about our smart contracts, and maybe tell us some use cases of our latest release.
Yeah, thank you very much, Anal, for the good introduction. Actually, first off, I would like to thank everybody who is watching us now. We will be doing this more often. As you probably know, we've done Q&As before. There was some pause with this, but now we're gonna be back to business, and you can see that we are doing this more professionally now, and it's gonna be better and better. So as you know, this week we launched our smart contracts on the testnet, and it's a great milestone for us actually, because we have been working on this since months, and still we need something to really test. It should be all properly tested, and we have many things to iron out, and it's going to be deployed on the mainnet around July, I think. But still, this approach works. This is the first approach with non-Turing complete smart contracts that was put into action actually. So there were suggestions like this before, but our smart contracts approach, where you don't need to introduce any new entities such as gas, this is the first approach that was realized into on a working network. So I think this is an achievement not only for us, but also for the whole crypto community. And this is going to be only the first step, because after this, I think around fall, we're going to be deploying also Turing complete smart contracts that will allow people to do arbitrary computation on our blockchain, and that would make our smart contracts applications complete. So this is just the first step, but this is a very important step, because no one has done before, and we are trying to do things that no one has done before. This is, as you probably know, some kind of a generalization of Bitcoin scripting, which exists basically only Bitcoin, and it took the community 10 years to come up with another upgrade of this scripting, because as you know, blockchain has existed since already 10 years. Maybe not all of you realize this, but it's not a new technology. So it's a great achievement. Now we'll be showcasing different test cases, multi-signature, oracles, other stuff, and we will be testing it out thoroughly, and it's going to be released in July. And your help is greatly appreciated. We have an online IDE where you can try the contracts out and help us with testing and further development. So as always, your input, your involvement is what drives the whole process forward.
Yeah, as developer advocate, I can add that we will improve our IDE, our documentation about smart contracts. So just keep in touch. So another question, a lot of people asked about it also, and it's about your recent post in Telegram. It was about Waves departments about gaming, messaging, and Waves AI. Could you please provide more information? What are the projects about?
Yeah. So gaming is going to be the first, because we were thinking what could be the best way to showcase all the advantages that Waves blockchain offers. And gaming comes to mind immediately, because they are trying to, for example, to tokenize gaming items. Yes, so this is a whole new branch of development now, many projects on Ethereum, but on Waves it is easier to achieve actually, because you need a decentralized trading agent, which we have, our DEX, and you need cheap transactions. So we have both. Actually, Ethereum doesn't have cheap transactions, and they don't have an integrated decentralized exchange. But we have both things. That's why gaming is a very nice application. And gaming industry, I think, is a little bit behind. They are actually just starting to tap into the whole potential of the technology. And our goal is to work with publishers and with companies that create game engines on which you can build games, and somehow to make Waves a default solution for tokenization of game items. So we are in talks with several very big companies. It is a little bit too early to announce it now, but it's all going pretty well. And I think Waves is going to be an integral part of future gaming platforms, where you deploy a platform on which developers can build their game. But on this platform, on this basic platform, there is already a tokenization mechanism, and you can easily build an ecosystem where, for example, you can swap your game gold for one game into the gold from another game. So, and there is some kind of decentralized exchange integrated, built into the platform itself. So this is a great development. This is definitely going to happen, and Waves suits much better than any other blockchain, especially for this case. That's why we are focusing on gaming now, but other things, as Inal said, are also important. It's Waves AI and Waves messaging. Messaging has always been on our roadmap. We always wanted to create a messaging service integrated into our client, and we will do it because it's quite important. So we will start with a simple messaging protocol integrated in our current client, and it will potentially decouple from our client and will become, maybe, hopefully, an independent application which actually works on the blockchain, and it might solve all the problems that messaging has now with privacy and, as you know, the Telegram situation, and it might solve very many problems. But it will start with a simple application within our client, and we'll start from that. As for Waves AI, the approach is quite similar. We decided to actually build up our trading department, because an integral part of Waves client, as you can see if you install it, is Waves DEX. So Waves is also about trading. It's a generic platform, you can do many things on it, but trading is quite important, and we have always been actually focusing on trading. So we want to actually develop this thing further and create a proper trading unit within Waves. And as you know, artificial intelligence is very important, because algorithmic trading usually runs on neural networks and similar approaches with AI prediction. And we'll start from trading, and we'll see how it goes, and probably we would actually venture out into generic AI in about a year. But our goal now is to create a trading unit which will provide liquidity for Waves DEX, which will work with external exchanges, and they are going to develop neural trading bots, and it will become the first step into the direction of Waves AI unit.
Okay, fine. Let's talk about a little bit more about gaming, because, as you said, it's first in this 3. There is a question from our community. What type of gaming do you envision and what makes it unique? Other tokens target gambling, in-game currency, messaging, AI. Why does Waves have an advantage?
Yeah. As I said, actually, we're not trying to, to do some gambling thing. It's not about this because basically I don't have anything against gambling, but it's not about gambling in this case. We are targeting maybe bigger goals to become a default solution for tokenization of game items. So you basically have some item which you somehow mined in your game or somehow earned in the game, and you want to swap it into an item from another game. And there is no trustless solution for this now. But it is needed because this is like a pretty big ecosystem. There is lots of money there, so lots of interest. Millions of people are playing games, and it is really needed to create some kind of trustless, decentralized solution which could help people swap game items between different games, between one another. And our goal is to be integrated right into the platforms on which other companies build games. There was a couple platforms on which basically 90% of all games are built, and we want to become a default solution, some kind of a module within those platforms, so developers could build on top of Waves and create tokenization mechanisms for items.
I see. There is another question related to the gaming. Do you plan to cooperate with GameX for your gaming projects? As I know, GameX is tokens for games.
Yeah, as far as I know, they had a pretty successful ICO on Waves, and we definitely want to cooperate with all reasonable quality players. So if we could find some common ground, definitely we'll cooperate. So we are very open to all reasonable suggestions and to all meaningful cooperation.
Great. The new departments which you spoke of, will we be hiring new people for the departments, or will they be formed from our current employees?
Of course, some current employees will be involved in this, but we'll definitely hire more people, and we are growing pretty fast. And as for the trading department, definitely we'll need more people. And for now, gaming unit employs a couple people from our backend team, but there is also new people there. So some people will work on these things from the old team, but the bulk of the team will be new.
Yeah. So let's get back to smart contracts. The most popular question in Slido, and I'd like to join to this question because a lot of developers ask also same question. So can you define the roadmap from date to reach out state-of-the-art Turing complete smart contracts?
So the roadmap is approximately the following. We are testing the non-Turing complete approach now on the testnet. As you know, by July we have to launch it on the mainnet, and we start working on the full Turing complete approach. Hopefully, you can't really predict this because, of course, conceptually it's not 100% clear because there can be different directions, and we need to create something which is really better than everything that exists currently. So we need to actually, be quite cautious with this. So around fall this year, we have Turing complete smart contracts on the testnet, and by the end of the year, we will have the full Turing complete system on Waves blockchain.
Yeah, I see. So there were a lot of questions about two tokens, Miners Reward token and Waves community token. So let's try to discuss a little bit about it. First question, when can we expect a real use case for Waves community token and Miners Reward token?
So Waves community and MRT tokens are connected to voting mechanism that is going to be built. Now there was some delay with this because there were different conceptions about how to build this. It was planned as a backend service, but now actually see this as a front-end service. And now we will implement voting as a front-end solution, actually, which is not so complicated. It will take some time because front-end team is actually overloaded with decks. But this summer we'll have voting, and before that, even before that, we'll have a simpler voting mechanism where people will be able to vote at Waves community site. And you can actually now have authorization with Waves client. You can use it to log into external sites, and people will log in to Waves community portal, and they will vote for different things that other people put up for voting. And it's going to be a very simple application, but quite useful, and users will be able to vote for like key features or maybe for some pretty important decisions that we will take. And it will be starting quite soon from Waves community portal, and then we will have voting in the client, and probably voting could become a major branch of development, because I think that along with such things as Internet of Things and notarization services, voting is going to be the next killer feature of the blockchain technology, because there is a huge need for like trustless, transparent voting mechanism, and voting is like the killer feature for blockchain technology, because you can understand that blockchain can provide a transparent mechanism that can be used for pretty big like polls and to conduct actually pretty big voting scenarios. So this is going to be another branch of our development. And MRT and WCT tokens are going to be used for voting as it was planned. Just have some patience because it's coming pretty soon.
Yeah, and there is another question. How will the voting system on Waves community token influence projects in practice?
Yeah, there is this problem with actually filtering out the bad players at our DEX. As you know, you can issue a token in a couple of clicks, and right after that you can put it up for sale, and people can buy your tokens, so you don't have to apply for any kind of listing at external exchanges, because you have this exchange right in front of you right after you issue your token. Of course, it attracts like dishonest players, and we have to create a mechanism that will combine some kind of trustless approach, but at the same time with efficiency. So for now, those like bad tokens are being moderated, just are being thrown away by like moderators team, but it doesn't have to be this way. Waves community token was supposed to work as a voting token, as a voting chip for basically this, for filtering out bad players and for vetting good projects. So potentially it's going to evolve into some kind of decentralized rating agency where people could attach some kind of rating to ICOs, for example, on Waves, or just tokens. So it's definitely going to be used for this, and WCT is going to be really useful because it will provide the one and only mechanism for approving good projects on Waves.
Yeah, I see. I have a couple questions, but you already asked them, so I think we will skip them. Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about Vostok. We have one question related to Vostok. It sounds like, have you got in touch with Amazon AWS about running Vostok or Waves, as they have now launched blockchain as a service? If not, will you soon?
Actually, we have been cooperating with Microsoft since maybe a year already, and as you can see, actually, if you take a look at Microsoft blockchain service, they do offer Waves, and they have been offering it since like a year. You can just run a Waves node with one click. Now we will be working with them on starting a network of Waves nodes with one click, and the setup will be similar to what they have for Ethereum, something similar. So we are working with Microsoft, and this is our goal. Potentially, of course, we will work with Amazon too.
Yeah, okay. There is another question. Can you elaborate on how the development on Vostok could affect Waves as a platform, and will Vostok utilize Waves token?
Sure, absolutely. So you need to actually perceive Vostok as business unit of Waves. So you can't really do everything on open blockchains now, unfortunately. They're not ready yet. It's not about Waves, it's about like the whole tech in general. So maybe someone or even us will come up with a great idea that is going to make open blockchain secure, but you can't really rely on this. Maybe not, maybe it won't happen. So, but business and public services, they really need transparency and cost efficiency that blockchain provides. And they really want to use this technology, but when they look deeper, they understand that they can do some prototypes on Ethereum, on other open chains, but they can't build a production system. So they can't build a system that is going to be used, for example, for registry of IP rights or for real estate registry. It's just impossible because there is no guarantee of immutability of data written into the chain and stuff like that. So for the moment, you can do this with closed blockchains, with so-called permissioned ledgers. And Vostok is going to be a permissioned version of Waves chain, tweaked to the needs of big enterprise, like governments, and it's going to be really tweaked, taking into account the permissioned nature of the chain. So we will be supporting 1,000 transactions per second on this chain. There's going to be side chains which are separate from the main chain, which will provide some kind of confidentiality of transactions. So there's going to be a huge synergy between Waves and Vostok. And Vostok is just a business unit of Waves. It's not a separate thing. It's just a thing that actually adds value to Waves and makes Waves solutions accessible to big business and to public services.
Okay, there are a bunch of questions about DEX. So let's start with, are there any concrete strategies or measures to increase users count and volume on DEX? There are many DEX competitors here and in the making. Sure,
actually we were I think the third DEX in existence as far as I understand, because there was NXT and BitShares DEXs and we were probably the third one. So BitShares was quite fast, NXT was quite slow, but decentralized, and we were the third. And I don't know if you realize our DEX is in production since more than a year. Millions of trades have taken place there. It's a system which is in a production mode, which can be used for actual trading. It's not a prototype, it's in production. So why the volume wasn't so great? Probably it was because of not so good trading interfaces. It's quite complicated to create a good trading interface. As you can see, not all the exchanges have good interfaces. And for us, it was a challenge because, for example, I have never worked on trading interfaces before, and it took us some time to understand how we can make a good trading interface. I think we are quite close. There's going to be probably another update. Today, our front-end team showed the new version of DEX interface, and people love it actually. So it's not different from what you can see at Bittrex or Poloniex. This is more or less the same trading experience, and combined with the speed of operations, as you know, our algorithm, which is called WavesNG, provides for really high speed of transactions. So manually, you can't see any kind of delay. You just push a button and you can see your order executed, and it's not different at all from what you can see at centralized exchanges. So I think we are closer to the level of user experience which completely resembles centralized experience than any other decentralized exchange. And this is going to be the key point here, because you won't make people trade if it's if it's uncomfortable, if it's if it's complicated. So we are pretty close. we have a very fast system. Our DEX is the fastest one due to combination of centralization and decentralization. So I think now the volume is going to grow, and we'll have more and more traders coming to DEX. Also, algorithmic trading is very much possible now. We have pretty developed API, so you can see many bots trading there. So it's just starting. So guys, check out our DEX, because I think this is the best decentralized exchange currently in the market.
Yeah, and if you want to see future design of DEX, you can join our Discord, and you can find out there. So there is another question about DEX. Are you thinking about making DEX match a decentralized unit where load balancing could be done between different nodes to protect centralized matching?
Yeah. It is an old idea actually, and we could do that, but it doesn't add too much value, because you can combine the order books from all the matchers on the level of front-end application. You just put them together and have some kind of combined order book actually. It's not so complicated. If we feel that our current setup can't handle the load, we'll do this. It's not a big deal actually, but it won't be properly decentralized actually, so it's because the level of decentralization it won't be much different. Maybe we'll pursue some other approaches a little bit later, but current approach I think can be generalized to traditional markets. I think if like bigger exchanges like New York Stock Exchange is going to do something with the blockchain, the setup of their trading infrastructure will be very similar to our DEX, because they would use the benefits of the blockchain like transparency, immutability, but at the same time they will need a high speed of operation. And you can do this on a blockchain now due to latency and other factors. And you will have to have centralized matching. And we have exactly the thing. We have a centralized matcher that matches orders fast, and value transfer takes place on the blockchain. So I think any kind of enterprise trading system, like stock exchange level, is going to have setup really close to ours, or we will actually move to providing our solutions to like traditional financial sector.
Yeah. So there is one question about an ICO. So since Mobile Go, we haven't seen any big ICO on Waves. Also, no really successful projects that ran their ICO on Waves so far. Anything big or great in the pipeline? I
don't agree. There were great projects on Waves. Actually, we have more successful ICOs, like percent-wise, than Ethereum. I mean, in my opinion, like for example, unique ICOs like Primal-based co-working network, which is functioning. They are opening offices all over the world. Many other things. So Mobile Go was a pretty big ICO. It was actually for a while the biggest ICO ever, like for a couple months. But actually, I don't think it's a key factor, and it's a good metrics because you need to actually look into the value of the projects that run on Waves. And we have today, for example, there was a great blog post from Waves Lab team that lists like 20 selected projects from the list of all Waves Lab participants. And you can see that there are so many different projects, so much diversity there. So completely different projects doing ICO on Waves, and I think we are quite successful with this. And I have to add that in terms of raised funds, Waves platform is the second after Ethereum. So of course there is a big gap, but still. So like hundreds of millions of dollars have been raised on Waves, and there have been of course many successful projects, and there will be even more successful projects.
So you believe in the future of ICOs?
In one way or another, sure, because of course the market will have to be regulated. We will need to have some kind of, guidance, governance, regulation. It's like somehow merging with traditional venture investment now, but it's going to settle down, and it won't be so exotic like in a couple of years. I don't think that there is going to be so much hype. It's going to be like more or less like traditional venture investment, maybe more efficient. It is going to be normal soon. So of course there is some hype now, and people get distracted by this. They think that there are too many scammy ICOs. but this thing is going to settle down, and we are working not only on tech, we're working on some kind of legal solutions, trying to help regulators have some kind of proper regulation, and we are doing everything. We are doing tech, we are trying to create ecosystem where people can raise funds in a legally compliant way as well.
Yeah. There is another question. Is Tokenomica still expected, and when?
Yeah, there is some kind of a delay because we get distracted by a couple of things like technical and also permission chain, but it's on the way, and Tokenomica is going to be an integral part of Vostok ecosystem, and soon we'll have an announcement regarding Tokenomica. The project is not dead because we have been in talks with Singapore regulators for about half a year. Actually, we were approved, green lighted, and we'll move on. We need to actually, because this market is moving too fast, it took us too long to negotiate some terms with the regulator, and market moved forward, so we need to adjust a little. And we've done exactly that. Tokenomica is not going away. It's going to evolve into something different than we had planned initially.
So, could you please say more information about partnerships and projects you are working on?
There are many projects and partnerships that we're working on in gaming, as I told you at the beginning. Also, we have big partnerships on government level, and soon there's going to be a big announcement in Central Europe. Also, in former Soviet countries, we are working with Kazakhstan very closely for the permission chain. Also, in Russia, we have many partnerships with, for example, with projects related to tokenization of real estate on government level. So many partnerships and so much activity in this direction. I would really like to highlight our gaming direction, our permission chain direction, because we really want to make the permission version of Vostok like the default solution for many countries in the world. And we are working really hard on this, and we have actually initial agreements with several countries already.
There were a few questions about our country, I think. Our community, they asked something like, usually people, when you say waves, they think about Russia. Isn't it a problem? And do we have any plans to go to West Europe or to United States, for example? And do we have any job openings in the USA?
Sure. So as for the global expansion, definitely we're going to expand globally because we're an international project with Russian roots, which we don't hide and don't want to hide because it doesn't make any sense. We're Russians, we are based in Russia, and our roots are here. But we're international at the same time, and we open our representative offices in the same places where Prime Base opens their co-working spaces. So for now we have an office in Amsterdam, there's a place in Berlin, we'll need to hire people there, but it's working, so we just need to set up an office there. London is coming in around June, I suppose, and New York by the end of summer. After this, we definitely need to have Singapore, and even before that, since our main company is now a Swiss company, we will have some kind of representation office in either Zurich or Zug, probably in Zug because there is Crypto Valley there, as you know, and many interesting projects and good networking there. So we'll have some kind of office in Zug in summer, and by the end of summer, another two offices in London and in New York.
Great. There is another question about transparency, I think. Is there a way to see Wave's sandbox or check information on the tickets, proposals or enhancements which are decided to be implemented? Maybe even conduct polls on them?
Actually, I can see many people posting on our GitHub, actually, with suggestions and ideas. But for this, especially for this, we're going to launch an updated Waves community portal where you will be able to suggest any ideas and vote for ideas of other people, and that's why we are doing this Waves community. As far as I understand, it will be launched in June, and it will provide some place to be for all Waves supporters.
And also we have some plans about our forum.
Yeah, and we're launching the forum soon, which will be focused mostly on development, but probably not only on that. But the idea is, of course, to attract more developers, because to be really successful in the space, you don't really need to attract business people. You need to attract developers, because they are the people who drive this community forward. Developers, not business people.
And there was one question about it. The community member asked about Ethereum, that it's a standard de facto, and it's a little bit hard now to change it. It's a little bit hard to show developers that they can use our smart contracts. Do we have any kind of plan to change it?
Yeah, so of course tutorials are going to be there soon. If you lack some tutorials, they're going to be there next week. So, and we'll make everything clear. And if you help us make it even more clear, we'll be really grateful to you. So our goal is developers now, and we'll do everything that actually makes them happy. So just tell us, guys, what you need and what you need in terms of tutorials, in terms of explanations of what we do, and we're really open. Everybody can ask any questions. We are very transparent and happy to help you.
There is a question about mobile wallet. When will the new mobile wallet be released? And our member asked they should have been delivered in Q1 according to our roadmap.
Yeah, okay, so we updated our current wallet pretty much. We ironed out all the bugs, so it's working really nice. If you install it, you'll see that it's a mature application. It's not a prototype. It's a good application, actually. With decentralized trading, you don't have so many trading applications on mobile, and we have a proper decentralized trading application on on mobile, both for Apple, for iOS and Android. So no one else has this. And what we really need to do now to make it more sleek, maybe, to make it look better. And I posted yesterday, I think, the mock-ups and some kind of video from our front-end team that showcases our new application, and it will be launched in around August, I think, because we need to make it much better than our current one, but our current one is actually pretty good. So it will take us some time to make it much better.
So there is another question. At the moment, move coins between Waves Bitcoin wallet pays a high fee. Do you have plans to apply some mechanism of dynamic fee based on the mempool?
We might think about this. Yeah, you will have to send this, or I will talk to Tokenomica people that support our Bitcoin gateway. Yeah, I heard this actually. I haven't seen it actually implemented at centralized exchanges yet, but we'll look into this. If it makes sense, we'll do it.
Let's get back to Waves Community Token. Besides the airdrops for Waves Community Token, what gives Waves Community Token value? Or why should people want to buy and hold?
Yeah, because it's going to be a major part of approval mechanism for projects on Waves. As soon as voting mechanism, voting applications are implemented on the Waves chain. So as soon as it's there, there's going to be a huge demand for Waves Community Token, because you will be able to vote for the projects and people will want to vote, actually. So, so there is an idea behind this, of course. And for now, Waves Community Token is was meant to actually, because it was distributed according to your Waves holding and according to for how long you held your Waves. So if you were like a Waves supporter, you get the token, and if you have the token, you get airdrops sent to you. So for now, it just incentivizes long-term Waves holders, but potential, and it's going to happen like within this summer, it's going to be for voting, and the actual application that it was meant for will be actually put into life.
Yeah. There is another question. Will you add to the DEX more coins from top 100 like EOS, Ripple, and so on?
I'm not sure about Ripple actually. It was quite tricky with Ripple. If you could show me a Ripple client, I will be really grateful to you actually, because I couldn't find it. It just exists at exchanges, which is pretty weird in my opinion. EOS is an Ethereum token for now, so when they launch the mainnet, oh, sure we'll do it. And also we will integrate ERC20 tokens. Now we have smart contracts. I think in about like a couple of weeks we'll be testing atomic swaps, and as soon as we have atomic swaps ready, we can launch ERC20 gateway, and we'll have all the tokens, like compliant Ethereum tokens, trading at our DEX.
Yeah, so let's see. Why the price of Waves isn't rising after smart contract release and activation? As you say that everything happens for a reason. Isn't it a perfect reason to pump? But
the movement is going to be there, so as you understand, capitalization, it's not like the key factor in my opinion, yeah, because it can be manipulated very easily actually in many cases. But it's still a good measure, and for marketing it's nice. So in our case, the movement will be steady, and it will be upward, steady movement, because smart contracts are going to be employed in stages. So now we have it on the test net, soon we'll have it on the main net, and each step will bring our capitalization higher.
So I think we answered almost all questions, at least all interesting questions. But there is one very, very, very important question I'd like to ask you. It sounds like, why you always look serious? You rarely smile.
I don't know. We are in a serious business, guys, so we have to be serious, you know.
From my side, I can say that you usually smile here at office, at least, but maybe you don't smile a lot on videos or somewhere.
Maybe,
public,
yeah.
but
maybe I have to be more on videos, so I'll be more relaxed, and like eventually I will be smiling and laughing all the way. Yeah. You know, so I have to work on that.
Yeah, it was a very, very interesting question for me also. Yeah. I think that's all.
Great questions, guys. Thank you very much, and we'll do it again soon. So thank you,
Thank you to Sasha. It was really interesting to listen your answers. But in the end, we have one more thing. As I said in the beginning of the video, you can get this t-shirt. For that, you have to answer my question. It sounds like, what was the maximum amount of transactions in one day proceeded in mainnet in Waves? You can ask in Slido first. Right, if you will answer first, you will get that t-shirt.
Oh, guys, it's easy. So I think
yeah, it's easy enough.
It's very easy, you know, because if you know the place where you can look it up, it takes you 1 second.
Yeah. So I think that's all. We can finish now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.